I want to tell you a story about Blossom, the awesome possum. Everyone called her awesome because of the awesome adventures that she had. Blossom lived in the woods on the side of a mountain in a hollow tree. It was a very cozy home, and she loved it. One day, Blossom was awakened early by a bright red cardinal right outside her window, singing a happy song. Blossom looked out sleepily and asked, "What makes you so happy today, Mr. Redbird?" The cardinal stopped singing for a minute and looked at Blossom. "Well, sleepyhead, it rained all night, and now the sun is shining. Everything is washed clean, and the world is all sparkly, and the smell is delightful. How can I not sing about it? Why are you not singing?" And giving a bright chirp, he flew off to sing in another tree. Now, Blossom had never thought about singing before. She never tried to sing. But it was indeed a beautiful day, and it really did smell wonderfully fresh. Why not try it? So she cleared her throat, climbed out her window, and sat on a tree limb, took a deep breath, and sang in her most beautiful voice, "This is the most lovely day, and I am happy, so happy." It did not sound at all like Mr. Bird's song. It was more like a duck squawking in a bucket. It surprised Blossom so much that she almost fell off her branch. The woods suddenly went quiet. When all the birds started singing again, Blossom wondered if they might be laughing at her. "I think I'll leave the singing to the birds for now. Maybe I can get that cardinal to teach me how he does it so nicely." Blossom stretched out her legs one at a time and wiggled her toes. Then she climbed down her tree to get some breakfast. Since it had rained last night, the ground would be nice and soft to look for earthworms. She loved those big, fat, juicy ones. She flipped a rock near her tree, and sure enough, there was a small red worm. It tried to wiggle away, but Blossom quickly grabbed it and slurped it down. That made her thirsty. As she made her way towards the stream, she wondered if there might be some bigger worms there. She got hungry just thinking about it. As she got closer to the creek, she heard a different kind of sound. It was a gurgling sound and giggling sound, but so much louder than what she had heard before. What could be making it? It was her stream. With all the rain on the mountain, her little brook was now not so little. Water splashed over the rocks in little waterfalls and swirled around broken tree limbs that had fallen off in the wind. Her friend, Ricky the raccoon, was already in the stream. Hey ho, it's a great day for crayfishing," he said with a big smile on his face. He turned over a big rock and grabbed at a crayfish, being careful to avoid the claws. Blossom had never seen one of these before. "How do you eat something like that?" Blossom asked. "It looks like it might eat you." Ricky held it towards Blossom, and the crayfish opened and closed its pinchers. "These things really can pinch if you're not careful. Oh, they're so tasty," Ricky said. And he whacked the crayfish against a rock a few times to crack open the shell. Blossom thought, "No, thank you," and took a drink. "Give me some nice juicy worms or a crunchy bug or even an acorn. I don't want anything that might bite me back." After he was done eating, Ricky said to Blossom, "Hey, Blossom, are you going to the party this afternoon?" The otters have invited everyone to come play on their slide." Well, Blossom didn't get invited to many parties, so she thought, why not? She'd never seen an otter slide before. What in the world? Where did they find a slide? She had seen one in the playground down at town, but here on the mountain? But she said she'd be there. So she headed back to her home and hunted for some worms along the way. And yes, indeed, she did find a couple nice big fat ones. That gave her a nice full belly. She thought about taking a nap, but she didn't want to sleep through the party. So she straightened out her hair, made sure that she looked okay, and she started down the hill towards where the otters lived. They lived downstream a little bit further than where she normally went. So it took her a while to get there, but it was worth it. As she got closer and closer, she heard lots of fun sounds of laughter, and she thought, it must be a really good party. And when she came to the stream, there were the 3 otters that were a brother and 2 sisters having so much fun on a slide that was made out of mud. They just had a smooth spot on the bank of the stream, maybe, I don't know, 10 feet, 3 meters long, and they would take a little bit of a running start and flop down on their bellies and slide down in the mud and splash in the stream. There was kind of a wide spot in the stream and a little pool there. And they had to get in a line to take turns to go down. And there was Ricky. He was going down too. And other animals were gathered on the side, but they weren't brave enough to try it. There was a bunny there and a squirrel there, and it looked like lots of fun, but they weren't going to try it. They weren't that good as swimmers, and they didn't want to get all wet and muddy. But Blossom thought, why not? So she got in line, and when it was her turn, she ran as fast as she could, which is not all that fast, and plopped down on her belly and went sliding down the mud. It kind of tickled on the way down. Whee, she said, and splashed in the water. Oh, that water was cold, but it was really fun. Everybody was giggling and laughing with her, and she thought, I'm going to do it again. Well, this time when the otters went down, they went down on their back, sliding down on their back. Blossom thought she would try that too. So she plopped down on her belly and then rolled on her back, but she got kind of twisted on the way down. She got stuck in the slide and didn't make it the whole way to the water. Everybody was laughing. Blossom got up out of the slide and she was just covered with mud, covered head to toe in mud. And the otters were laughing. They said, Blossom, now you're all brown like us. Maybe you're really an otter. Blossom laughed at that, and she just waddled down to the stream and plopped in. She rolled around in the water and let the water wash off all the mud. She said, I'd rather be a possum. Well, she tried it a few more times, and it was lots of fun, but pretty soon she was worn out. And the otters said, does anybody want to join us for supper? We have some clams that we got out of the stream. And they pulled open the clams and ate the guts on the inside. And Blossom said she would try one. And it was kind of like a worm. It was juicy like a worm, but it was kind of fat and chewy too. And she chewed and chewed and chewed on that. Finally, she chewed it enough to swallow it, and She said thank you, but when they offered her another one, she said, "No thanks, I had too many worms for lunch and now I'm full." Mostly she didn't want another one. And after she said her goodbyes, she started back towards her tree. And she thought about how fun that was to go to a party. Maybe she could have a party someday and invite people. She wondered what games she might have for people to play and what snacks she might have for people to eat. Parties were fun because people came and there was a lot of laughing and smiling, having fun together. As she got ready for bed, she thought about how glad she was to have friends, because friends make the world so much better. And when she said her prayers, she said thank you to God for all of her friends. And she went to bed with a nice big smile. What a beautiful day it had been. And maybe someday she would even learn how to sing. Good night.